Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chairwoman Lee, and thank you to my dear friend, the ranking member of the subcommittee, Ms. Sewell. And thank you to the witnesses for being here today. I think this is, as Chair Lee and I said, this is the third time we've tried to organize this, so third time is a charm, it turns out. But this is really a very, very important conversation to have, and I'm grateful to the Chair for pulling us all together, and again, to all the witnesses for being here. And I think it's important to kind of take stock of the moment that we're in. A recent report found that last year there were 27 individual weather and climate disasters with at least $1 billion in property damages. That's really pretty extraordinary as the number continues to grow in the amount of damage that storms do. Unfortunately, the administration continues to deny the climate crisis, denying science, and actively impairing our readiness to respond. Back in June, I sent a letter to FEMA expressing concern over the lack of publicly accessible data on how and where federal resources are allocated in response to federal disasters, a problem which has gotten even worse since January, the new administration. As the hurricane season began, the President's FEMA had reportedly said that he was unaware hurricane season had started. I'm assuming that was a joke, but joking or not, it's not funny and it's unacceptable. We have seen, since the beginning of this year, fired federal workers, ended grant programs that have long built resiliency and mitigated the impacts of disasters, and actively dismantling agencies that support our critical infrastructure. A recent GAO report found that the recent cuts to FEMA have severely impacted the government's ability to respond to a hurricane season like last year's. Natural disasters and severe weather events and the damage they inflict are not going to stop regardless of whether we bury our head in the proverbial sand or not. They're coming whether we like it or not. And these actions do not strengthen our elections or our democracy. In fact, they make us less secure. Disasters do not care about partisan affiliation, and they don't care that it's election day. They do not care if a person is rich or poor, and our response to them should not either. When Hurricane Sandy hit New York and New Jersey just days before the 2012 presidential election, hard to believe it's that long ago, it displaced hundreds of thousands of people and caused significant damage, yet we still needed to carry on a presidential election. And the same thing happened in North Carolina just last year, which was referenced by the chair. Hurricane Helene hit the state in late September of 2024, after absentee voting had already begun and less than 3 weeks before early voting was set to begin. And the storm caused tremendous damage. I don't have to tell our witness about that. In western North Carolina, more than 100 people died as a result of that tragedy. But election officials across the state, led by then Executive Director Karen Brinson-Bell, quickly got to work ensuring North Carolinians could cast a ballot. Because of their hard work, she and all the people who are part of the election infrastructure, voter turnout was actually higher in the 25 disaster area counties than it was statewide, which is pretty remarkable when you consider it. And the State Board of Elections in Buncombe County, the hardest hit area in the state, won national awards from the Election Assistance Commission for the emergency response and planning. Unfortunately, Ms. Brinson-Bell was recently removed from her position after the Republicans in the North Carolina legislature pulled what I could only describe as a blatantly partisan takeover of this Board of Elections, shifting the power to appoint the board's members from a governor, who happened to be a Democrat, to the state auditor, which seems like a pretty illogical move. But anyway, thank you, Ms. Brinson-Bell, for being here today to share your experience and expertise on this issue, and thank you to you and your staff for the hard work in the last elections. So look, last comment I'll make is we need to fully fund our elections. Election officials need additional resources even under ideal circumstances, let alone in the midst of natural disaster. But when a disaster hits, we must make sure they have the funds and support they need to adapt operations, assist voters, to assure every voter can still cast a ballot. Last week in the Appropriations Committee, I said the $15 million in election funding that House Republicans have proposed is certainly not enough. It's a drop in the ocean of funding needs, and I'll continue to push for additional funding and consistent elections funding. When disaster strikes, election administrators must provide voters with options for casting a ballot. Later today, and I'll close with this, I'm introducing the Climate Resilient Elections Act with many of my colleagues, a bill that would require the GAO to analyze and report on ways the federal government can better assist in administering elections following a natural disaster, would grant funding opportunities to strengthen American elections. I'd also say in closing, and I'll yield back, and I appreciate the courtesy of the chair, today is a moment to recognize, today is National Voter Registration Day, as I think we all know. And as we talk about natural disasters, the impact they can have, we should also work to ensure that every eligible American citizen has every opportunity to register to vote, update their voter registration information, and cast a ballot should they choose to do so, and we certainly hope that they will choose to do that. So thank you again for holding this hearing. I'm very appreciative on an important topic, and with that, I'll yield back.